Hey, hello everyone, this is Tapas and welcome back to the day 4 of 40 days of JavaScript. Day 3 was the time when we started doing our logic building. And in this video and in the next one, we'll continue and make this logic building much solid for you. So if you have not caught up with the day 3, where we have learned about the operators and expressions, I will say that you must watch that video before you get started with this one if you are a beginner, because there are a lot of things we have learned in the last video. We are going to utilize it to make our logic building much stronger. 40 days of JavaScript is a long journey. It's not the journey for just one day, 2 days, or a week. So if you have started with this journey already, stay to it, because at the end of it, you are going to be the winner. I'm going to teach you everything from zero to hero, from beginner to advanced about JavaScript. We'll be doing projects, and I will make sure that at the end of these 40 sessions, you will not have any fear about JavaScript and can get started with libraries like React, frameworks like Next.js, SolidJS, whatever it is, with much ease. I have already shared this particular curriculum with you, and I hope that you have already downloaded the progress tracker and you're using that progress tracker to take the notes. If you are not doing it yet, please do this, because at the end of all the 40 days, end of all 40 sessions, when you look back to your notes, you will find what you have created, a book, a JavaScript book that is for yourself, that is written by you, written for you, that you can refer any point in time for anything that you might be facing as a challenge in JavaScript tomorrow. So be with me, stick to me, and learn. If you like my teaching, please subscribe to tapaScript, because I want this channel to grow and reach to many other developers so that they also can learn from me. All right, so let's get started with today's session, control flow. On the first day, we learned like how JavaScript code get executed, right? It gets executed line by line, and in the other video we also learned like different phases of JavaScript code execution. Now if you keep all these things together, how things will work, like from the first line, imagine this is a JavaScript file and you have a bunch of JavaScript code. Now JavaScript engine is looking into this code, this particular file, and start executing it. Now from the first line, it will start executing one by one, one by one, like this. But at times, you might want to skip certain lines of code and branch it out and go to somewhere else for certain other execution. So it means that you want to control the flow of execution using the programming in such a way that if a condition is met, if there is a condition that is meeting, then you want to jump maybe from this line number 4 to this particular line number. And then if this is done, execution is done, then again you want to jump from this line to some other line in this particular code execution flow. This usually happens, and this happens in programming so frequently. So this particular phenomena where you want to control the flow using certain conditions is called control flow in programming. In JavaScript and every other languages, most of the languages that we know of and today we use, there is the notion of control flow. There is the usage of control flow. How do we achieve control flow? We achieve control flow using few programming paradigms and syntaxes that I'm going to note down over here. One is if, then if and else is a combination, then switch and case is one combination. Then there are certain keywords like break, and then there is something called continue. Today's focus is on about the branch out in control flow using if else, switch case, break, what to use when to go for when to go for if else, when to go for switch case, which one is better, if else is better, switch case is better, why they are better. We are going to get answer for all these questions, but the best part is with lot of code. And again, at the end of the session, there will be task. For day 3, I know the task was little complex than other 2 days. Day 4, believe me, it will be much more complex. But I want you to win, right? I want you to practice all the tasks. I want to submit all the tasks to our Discord. So towards the end, I'm going to explain how are you going to submit the task and how are you going to win. So on day 4, I have a new folder called day 04, as usual, index.js file and index.html file. And I have loaded the JavaScript file over here with day 4. I am running it from the browser. The first thing first, we're going to talk about branching. We're going to talk about the control flow. And one of the way that we can do this is using something called if. We know in English what does if means, right? Before we even go for syntax, if means if something happens, right? If I go to school, if I catch this bus, if I watch this video. So if, and then the second thing is always a condition. If I catch this bus, if I catch this bus, then something will happen. I will reach to my destination. If I don't catch this bus, I will probably reach to my destination with a delay. Correct? So if the condition met, something happens. If the condition is not meeting, something else happening. That's how it is. This if is a reserved keyword in JavaScript that we'll use to give some control flow into it. If always takes a parenthesis, and you can give a space between if and this parenthesis if you want this code to look little more neat. And here you put a condition. Now here guys, that's why in 40 days of JavaScript the continuous learning matters. How do you specify a condition? You specify a condition using conditional operator that we have learned in the last video in day 3. So don't skip things. So there are various conditional operators that we have learned about, right? We have learned about equals, we have learned about not equals, greater than equals, less than equals, everything. And then once you use the conditional operator, you form a condition. And the result of the condition will be always true or false, a Boolean value. That means this condition, whatever you pass over here, it has to result into either true or either false. If it is true, in that case, whatever you want to do, if this is true, you write over here inside this curly braces. If it is not true, and if you want to do something, only in that case, you bring something called else with the curly braces. So it means if you want to do something, if a condition is met, then you don't need this else. But if your condition is not met, in that case also, if you want to do something, then you need this else. Logic building happens like this. So let's take an example of that bus thing. So if now I'm writing in plain English saying that I catch this bus, in that case, I will reach home on time. Else I will be late to reach. Now this one will be something that result into a Boolean, the condition. So that means I can now create a variable, say catching bus equals to true. And I'll put this catching bus over here. If the catching bus is true, then I can say console.log of, let's print this as a string, and for this one also let's print this as a string. Okay, so if catching bus is true, that means this condition become true, then I will reach home on time. If catching bus is false, this condition is becoming false. If it is false, then if part won't be executed at all. The control flow will take you to the else part and this will be executed. If I see this happening, it says I will reach home on time because I have made it true. If I make it false, then this won't be satisfied, so it won't go inside this. This else will be the one that will be executed. So console.log will print I will be late to reach. If I go to my browser, it says now I'll be late to reach. Now here one thing to understand. JavaScript execute code line by line. That means this line number 1 got executed. So why we got day 04. Line number 2 is a blank line, nothing to execute. Line number 3 is a line where we are creating a variable and assigning a value false. Line number 4 is an empty, no problem. Now coming to line number 5, usually JavaScript should have executed line number 5, line number 6, line number 7, line number 8, line number 9. Correct, na? But as you have a condition over here and the condition satisfactory factor over here with if and else, from line number 5, the control will be branched out. Okay, this is what we call branching. Based on this condition, line number 5, line number 6, line number 7 will execute. Or based on this condition, line number 7, line number 8 or line number 9 will execute. So there is no way from line number 5 to line number 9, all the lines will execute. That means we are skipping it, right? We are jumping from one line to another line. We are actually controlling the flow of the execution, the programming execution using this particular condition. Clear? Control flow. the basic of control flow? Great. Okay, so let's take one more example with the, again, logic building. Let's build a logic to check whether an individual is eligible to vote or not, cast his vote. So at least in India, how it happens, you have to be at the age of 18, then only you can cast vote. In many countries, I know the rule is kind of same. So it means that we have to deal with age. So first I will create a variable called age, and I will check now. My condition is if age is, what is the operator will be using, guys? Should we use greater than, or we should use greater than equals? We will be using greater than equals, right? If someone's age is 18 or above, in that particular case, that person is, you are eligible to vote, otherwise you are not eligible to vote. Now to test this, I can pass different kind of age value over here. If I give just 18, what will happen? Age value is 18. This condition with the conditional operator, age is 18. This age will be replaced with this 18. 18 greater than equals to 18. Is it true or false? It is true, because we have learned in the conditional operator, in greater than equals, it will do either greater than or equals. One of them has to satisfy. In this case, 18 is not greater than 18, but 18 is equals to 18. So this condition satisfies, it becomes true. If it becomes true, means it will come inside this curly braces and it will execute, you are eligible to vote. Let's see that. So it says you are eligible to vote. Now if I give it as 8, so here 8 greater than equals to 18, no, it is not greater than, not equals. That means this particular if block is not going to get executed. It is going to execute this else block and it will say you are not eligible to vote. Let's see that. It says now you are not eligible to vote. Clear? So I hope that with that if else everything is pretty clear to you. Now there are a few things that you need to keep in mind. One is, you might want to omit these brackets. You don't want to give this bracket if you don't want. When you can omit when your if has only one statement to execute if it satisfies. Your else has one statement to execute when it satisfies. But if there are multiple statements to execute, for example, if age is greater than equals to 18, you are saying you are eligible to vote, then another line of console.log saying that go to that voting center to vote. So that means there are two console.log, two statements to execute. That time you have to use that curly braces. But if there are only one statement to execute in either of them, if or else, you can omit that curly braces. This will also work. See, this is also working. But the recommendation is, irrespective of the case, whether you have one or two, please always use these curly braces. This is the right way of doing code. Never ever omit the curly braces. Okay. So here you have one pair of if and else. This is one if, this is one other pair of else. Now what will happen? There could be a situation where you have to decide on multiple conditions. Here the condition is simple, whether I'm catching the bus or not, whether somebody's age is greater than equals to 18 or not. But sometime you might have multiple possible conditions. This is what logic building, guys. You have to identify from the problem statement whether I have one single condition or I have multiple possible conditions or not. If I tell create a program that will determine if a person is eligible to vote or not based on the age. If I tell like that, it means that, oh, okay, based on age, I have to decide whether the person is eligible to vote or not eligible to vote. So it is one condition. But if I tell that can you write a program that will build a grading system means the result system. Once you give the exam, you get a result, right? Grade A, grade B, grade C, or you failed based on other score. So if the score is say greater than equals to 90, if somebody has got more than 90, it will be grade A. If somebody has got more than 80, then it will be like grade B. More than 80 or 80 or more, grade B. If somebody got 70 or more, grade C. Anything other than that is fail, let's say. So here, how many conditions are there? We are talking about 4 conditions. One condition to decide grade A, another condition to decide grade B, one condition to decide grade C, and another condition for fail. Let's build a grading system. Let's build the logic for this. So logic is, if score is greater than equals to 90, then we'll say grade A. If score is greater than equals to 80, grade B. If score is greater than equals to 70, then we'll say grade C. Otherwise, we'll say fail. It's wrong to fail someone below 70, but let's say it's fail. Now, in this case, you might think I have to deal with score. So that means I have to take score as a variable. Fine. First step. Now I can say if score greater than equals to 90, I'll say console.log grade A. Fine. Fair enough. Now you might ask why we need else. Without else only I can do it now. Because if the score is greater than equals to 90, grade A, if the score is greater than equals to 80, grade B, like this. So it means I can actually copy this one multiple times, 2, 3 times, and let's say I put it at 80 and grade B, I put it as 70, then grade C. This will also work, isn't it? But this won't work. Why? Because you are not able to take care of the fail case without else. Now you will say, boss, I know this conditional operator already. You are saying that greater than 90 means A, greater than 80 means B, greater than 70 means C. I will write another if block and I will say if it is less than 70, then it is fail. You know, I'm a smart guy. I have solved this particular problem without using any else. Can we run this? For a mark, say score equals to 76. Let's see the output. It says grade C. Grade 76 means grade C. So 76 is fall into this particular condition that 76 is greater than equals to 70, grade C. Other things have not printed. So I have solved this problem. We told JavaScript executes line by line. So line number 25, the execution will start. Coming to line number 25, it will execute on the line number 70. It will execute on the line number 31. It will execute on the line number 35. It will execute on the line number 39. It will find a match over here and it will go inside this and it will print it. Now, if I write this with the else if condition, then what will happen? I have to write the code like this: else if, else if, else if. Correct? Now I'm saying that I will start with this line number 25. I'll come over here. Then I will come to this particular if block saying that is 76 greater than equals to 90? No, it's not satisfied. Then I'll come to this else if block. Then I'll say is 76 greater than equals to 80? No, it is not. Then I'll come to this else if block. Then I'll say 76 greater than equals to 70. It is actually now satisfying. So it will be grade C. It will go inside this. There is no point of getting inside the else if block at all. So sir, now you will tell me na that with independent if also I achieve the same thing. With if else also I am achieving the same thing. So can I use them as per my wish? Like I can use independent if, or I can use this if else if. You can ask me because we have achieved the exactly same thing. We also saw the sequence of things were same. It may be the case for this particular code, but there will be a situation where you have to decide whether you want independent if or there is a need for if else if. Let me explain to you with an example. Let's take this. Let x equals to 0. Now if I say if x is equals to 0, console dot log, I'll print 0. Here I'll tell if x greater than 0, then I'll tell greater than 0. Now one more if block I'm going to take. If I say if x less than equals to 0, then I'll say less than 0. Can you tell me what will be the output of this? X is 0. If x is equals 0, console.log 0. If greater than equals to 0, I'm printing greater than 0. Less than equals to 0, I'm printing less than 0. What will be the output? Execution. Let's see. JavaScript start at line number 37. Execute X created, value assigned 0, 38 nothing. 39. Is X equals to 0? Yes. Satisfied boss. Console.log print 0. Great. This line execute. Nothing in this line. This line. If X greater than equals to 0, greater than equals to means either greater than or equals to. Yes, X is equals to 0. Satisfied. Okay, go inside boss. Print this greater than 0. Print this line. Print this line. If X less than equals to 0, X is 0, 0 less than equals to 0, less than or equals to, yes, 0, satisfied. Okay, print it boss. So here it prints 0, greater than 0, less than 0, all three, isn't it? So I'll go to the console, 0, greater than 0, less than 0. If you want output like this, if you want this as an output, this code works great. But if your output is to decide whether you are going to do x equals to 0 as and when x is 0, you want to exit out from this control flow, you don't want to continue this particular control flow, then you will be writing this in little bit different way. You will be saying else if, you will say else if. Now what will happen? Now if x equals to 0, great, this line variable created, assign this line nothing. This line x is equals to 0 or not. Yes, boss, condition satisfied. Console.log will be printed. Now, as this condition is satisfied, JavaScript is not going to look into this else guy at all. This is the difference. Before, for each independent if, you were able to get inside this because in all cases that condition was satisfied. Now, as we have else, if the first time itself your condition is getting satisfied, JavaScript is not going to get into the else part at all. So in this case, what is going to be the output? Just the 0. So it means that the rest of the pieces like greater than 0, less than 0 is not at all getting executed. So remember, only bunch of if blocks versus if and else tying together, it depending on what exactly you are trying to achieve. If your use case is such that where you have to stitch if and else together, you have to stitch if and else together, because based on the value you have an opportunity for early exits from the condition, means less number of code you will be executing. Also the type of output that you might be getting or you might be expecting might be different if you are just doing independent if blocks versus if else block. Okay, so recommendation, try to use if else block wherever you need to look into two side of the conditions. If you don't have to look into two side of the conditions, always go for if block alone, other side else block you don't need. So that is what you need to remember in terms of using if and else. This is how the logic gets built. Okay, one other thing that I want to talk about over here is like you can nest if and else. So for example, I can do something like if true, then if true, then console dot log inner if else console dot log inner else console dot log outer else, and here also we'll put one console dot log outer if. Okay, now let's replace these true values with the variable. Say const, let's take a variable called condition and we'll assign something over here and pass this condition instead over here, and maybe another variable will take const inner condition. Okay, now let's make like this condition as true, inner condition as false. Tell me what will be the output. So this condition is true, that means this is true. If this is true means of course it will go inside this if block. Going there it will print outer if. Inner condition is false, I'll replace this with inner condition, then it will make more interesting. Inner condition is false, that means this block is not going to be executed, it will go and jump into this. So the output will be outer if and inner else, right? So let's see the output. Outer if, inner else. Very good, we understood that. Now if we just tweak it, for example, make both of them false, what will happen? This particular condition is false. That means this if block is not going to get executed at all. It is just going to execute this particular console.log outer else alone. Because as this is not getting executed at all, there is no chance of this particular if is getting executed. So I don't have to even look into this particular condition's satisfaction or not. It will straightway be outer else. Yeah, outer else. So like this, you can actually practice for different conditions how the different values are coming. Not just whatever I am teaching alone. You just also experimenting out of your own interest and try to learn it even much better. All right, guys. So that's all about if else, if alone, and if else combination. Without if, else cannot stay. So you cannot really write something like else console dot log I am alone else. Okay. If I go to now my browser, I am finding uncaught syntax error, unexpected token else. That means else alone cannot exist without a if. So just to show that, I showed you this. I'm commenting out so that when I share this code with you, you remember that we have done this. All right. So after this, we are going to go to learn about another thing. Is called switch and case. So how are you enjoying this 40 days of JavaScript, guys? Can you post some comment about like how is your learning going on? Post this comment on this particular video's comment section. How is it going on? What kind of values that you are getting from this playlist, and how are you practicing? How are you taking all these things seriously? How are you kind of building things, doing tasks? Share your experience. I'm going to pick up a few like top 3 or top 5 and going to show them in my upcoming session, like to share like what you guys are feeling. So don't miss out. Put some comment in this video that you want to share about your journey so far and how are you learning. So with if else, we now understand that how to tackle the conditions with the control flow. Based on the condition that is provided, we can go to if or else like that. But when there are multiple such conditions, we have taken in this example and also we have taken in that other example, like there are multiple such conditions, right? And when the conditions really grows, like you have 10 conditions, 12 conditions like that, then if else might not be the right choice for you. If there are too many conditions, multiple conditions based on single value. If that is the case, I think instead of if else, you should go for switch case, which will be working much faster. But first understand what is switch case, how to write it, and then we'll get into the discussion of how switch case can be much faster than if else in certain conditions, right? Not always, but in certain conditions for sure. So let's write a switch case of, let's say we have something called switch, switch. This is how you should be writing switch. Instead of if, you were writing if before, it will be switch now. That is the keyword. Then in the parenthesis, you have to give your condition. Okay. And over here in the block, you will be writing certain cases. So case, how will you write? With the keyword called CAAC. And then here you will be writing the case value. Let's take case value is say 1, first case value. Then I will say console dot log of print 1. Okay. Then like that, let's say you have multiple cases, case 2, case 3, case 4. I'll just rename this 1 to 2, 3, 4, and here also I will say 2, 3, and 4. Now let's define this condition. Let's take let position as one variable and then initialize the position using a number called 1. And then I will take this particular condition as position. The value of position is what is my condition. So it means if the position value is 1, so when position is coming as 1, among all this case, which case this particular position is matching? As the value is 1, so it's matching with the first case, case 1. So that means console.log print 1 should come. Correct? Let's go and see the output ones. What I'm saying there is a print 1, print 2, print 3, print 4. But my expectation was only print 1 will come. Why this is happening? Because if you don't tell JavaScript that once you found a match, don't go for finding any other match or don't execute anything, just break from this particular switch case thing. That you can tell using the keyword called break. So if you want to break from this switch case as soon as a condition is satisfied, you should add a break for each of these cases. And this is how you should be writing it. Case 1, it can take multiple lines. You don't have to give any curly braces in this case. Unlike if else, you don't need here. For satisfying case 1, you are going to put this console.log and you are breaking out, because here position is 1. This will match. You are breaking out of the switch case. So this 2, 3, 4, none of them are going to get executed. Now I will get only print 1 as output. Excellent, print 1. Now let us test it with another value. Let's say I have the value 4. Now you guys know position. So case 1 is not satisfied, case 2 is not satisfied, case 3 is not satisfied. Now case 4. Case 4 will satisfy it because the position value is 4 and it is matching with this number 4. So that means it will print 4 over here. All this thing will be escaped because none of the cases are matched. So if I go to browser, I'll see print 4. Excellent. Now let's give this value as 10. What do you think the output will be? 10 will not match with case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4, none of them. So it means that it's not going to print anything, isn't it? So if I go over there in the browser, I'm going to see it's not printing anything. It's not printing 1, 2, 3, 4, anything. But in your case, in your programming, you might have to handle this fallback value. Fallback value means if it is not matching with something, or anything, at the end you want to tell that there was no match found, right? This is what we do in the programming. So for that purpose you have to use something called default. This is like the else in the if else, but not exactly else. What we are saying, the default fallback for this switch case is this section of the code, where I can write console.log nothing is matched. If I'm putting a value called 10, so case 1 won't match, case 2 won't match, case 3 won't match, case 4 won't match. So the default will be the one that will be executed. So nothing is matched. Now I will get nothing is matched. All right. So this is how you should think about executing switch case. Now let's take another example. Let's do another small programming so that we kind of enhance our logic building further. And this is what will be also required when you do the task. Let's detect a day based on a number. So if the number is 1, it's Monday, number is 2, it's Tuesday, number is 3, it is Wednesday, like that. And number can be between 1 to 7, right? 1 is Monday, 7 is Sunday. If any number passed which is not 1 or 7, between 1 to 7, then we'll say that invalid day number. Can you do that? You can write this with if else now, right? You know, I have taught you the if else already. If you do like if day equals to 1, then console.log date, else if day equals to 2, else if day equals to 3, you can write with if else. Same thing, let us write with switch case. So we will take let day as a variable, and then we will do switch. Here we will be passing our condition or the value. Here in case of switch, we'll rather tell it as value than condition. Okay, it is a value. In terms of if else, it was always a condition that used to evaluate true or false, or true value or the falsy values. Now in this case, it is just a value. This is not a condition. It can be a number, it can be a string, it can be a boolean, whatever it is. If the number that is you're passing is matching with any of the case number, then it will go to that and execute. Otherwise it won't do. If you have a default, it will fall back to default if there is no match. So we are thinking about a day which is between 1 to 7. So we need to handle 7 cases. One is case 1. If it's satisfied, we are going to say it is a Monday. Excellent. And then we don't want to execute case 2, case 3, case 4, Tuesday, Thursday, everything for a number 1, right? We want to execute it and break it. So we'll be using something called break. Now same thing, let me copy for all other cases. So I have done now case 2 means Tuesday, case 3 means Wednesday, case 4 means Thursday, like that till case 7. And then at the end, I'm going to add a default And in this default, I'm going to say console.log invalid day number. Okay. Now let's put a number. Let's put, so what will happen? This number will come here as 5. Doesn't match with case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4. Yep. The value 5 is matching with this. So case 5, that means it's a Friday. And it will break out from this. So if I go back to my browser, I see Friday. Excellent. Now let's give a number which doesn't match any of this. For example, 51. It will say invalid day number because it's not matching any of the cases. Yes, invalid day number. Now, one more thing that we can do is, so far we have used 1, 2, 3, 4 like this on the value. So you might imagine that, okay, cases can only be number. No, that's not the case. It can be any value, in fact. So I can take let name equals to, we will take some name. Now we'll say switch the value name. Here I'm interested in case, this is a string, right? tapaScript. In case of case tapaScript, I'll say console.log teaching 40 days of JS. And then I will break because I don't want to execute anything else. Then I'll take another case. And here I'll say Google. And here I'll say console.log giving answer to all searches. And then I'm going to break, and then I will have a default case. Here I can say console.log you are neither Google nor tapaScript. Okay. Now if I pass tapaScript as the name, the value will be tapaScript, case will be tapaScript, this will be executed. So you can go, it says teaching 40 days of JS because that's what tapaScript is doing. Teaching 40 days of JS. If I say Google, then it will say giving answer to all searches because this case will be executed. Giving answer to all searches. Excellent. If I make Google as capital G Google, what will be the answer? Is it going to say giving answer to all searches? No, because here the matching is in terms of string matching. The capital G OOGLE and small g OOGLE are not same string. They are two different strings. So it means it's not going to match with this guy at all. It is going to match with the default because capital GOOGLE is neither tapaScript, neither this particular Google. This is a default case. So you are neither Google nor tapaScript. That's what is going to print. Here I think I should give this statement with small g so that it doesn't confuse people. So I will go and see for it. It says you are neither Google nor tapaScript. Excellent, right? So this is what it is in terms of switch case. So why switch case is better than if else? Let me just tell you. One is the performance. If there are too many if and else, then if else is can handle with all the if else condition. But in case of switch case, if you notice, it's almost a fixed value, right? It is not about the condition, it is about the fixed value. And as it is having a fixed value, the advantage over here is switch statement often utilize something called a jump table. Okay. So when the code gets compiled, that particular time, when the optimization happen, the jump table gets created. It is like the table of all this value and indexed. So it means that if there is a table created already with tapaScript and what to execute for tapaScript, with Google and what to execute for Google. See, there is a table. Now, if you see this variable's value, you can search in that particular table very quickly because it is indexed and go to that particular table row directly and can get the value and give it back. In case of if and else, it used to be always sequential. You go to if, not satisfying, go to else, not satisfying, again next else, not satisfying, again next else. But in case of switch case, if the jump table is created, that means in jump table, you have already indexed for this value, this is the case. For this value, this is the case. Now, whenever there is a value, you can actually go to that particular row, fetch that particular value, and you can actually show. So the performance advantage of a switch case is more noticeable when you have too many conditions to check. So the same thing, if you want to do as a condition way, you won't be using the value. If you have to do it with if else, you will be now putting a condition. If name equals to tapaScript, if name equals to Google, else this part. So if you have too many conditions, instead of that, always go for switch case. If you have very less number of conditions to handle, if else is still okay, you can use it. But otherwise, always opt for switch case for its performance advantage. Also, few other things I think I like about switch case is like the readability. If like this, when there are too many things, it's not so readable for me. I have to go and really focus on this each of these conditions, like what they are saying, right? And then I'll be able to think about, okay, fine, this is what it's saying, this is where the block has to be, and that's how I will proceed. But in case of switch case, it is like the readability is like very good. I mean, I know this is the value, where exactly this value is matching. Okay, this is where this particular things will be working out. So the readability is like really really great. And of course, apart from this performance and readability, another factor which is the most crucial factor between selecting if else and switch is what is the use case. If you have a logical condition, so for example, this particular example where we have a logical condition, score is greater than 90, score is between 80 90, score is between 70, score is less than 70, we won't be using switch case over here at all, because it's a condition, complex logical condition I need. Wherever this logical condition comes, I'll be using this. Because you might have a condition saying that if somebody's age is greater than 10, less than 20, then only do this. If somebody's age is more than 50, less than 60, then only do this. So these are all complex logical conditions you have to write within if else only. But if you are checking for a fixed value, like we have done for position, it's a fixed value. Based on position, best of the things are happening. It's only position. It is not position and something. Position is between this range to that range. It's not like that. It's a position is a fixed value. Based on that fixed value, if you are doing any kind of check, here day, here position, then you should be going for switch case. So again, to recap, which is better, switch case or if else? If you talk about readability, switch case is better, at least to me. If you talk about performance, if you have too many if else, then you use switch case, you have a performance optimization, you have better result. But ultimately it boils down to your use case. If you have complex logical operations, that's how I told range and all these things, you have to use if and else. But if you're working on a fixed value like number, string, the examples we have taken, and based on that you want to take decision on that fixed value, then switch case is the must that you should go for. I hope this is completely clear to you. If else and the ternary operator. Ternary operator we have learned in the last video. That's exactly the same thing. If you have single if, single else, instead of that, you can use a ternary operator. So for example, the first example that we have taken, catching bus and this one, right? Instead of this, I could have written it like this. Catching bus is my condition. If the condition is met, console.log is something that I'll be returning. Else, this particular console.log I'll be returning. Okay. So instead of writing this, I have written if else. If you want a shorthand to write, I would encourage you to write shorthand. Then please go for ternary operator, but don't go more than one level if possible. Now, if it happens like if catching bus, here also you want to check another if else condition. So again, you will be writing this particular syntax in this particular place. Else also, if you need another condition, again you will be writing over there. So your this code will look a little bit messy and unreadable. In that case, you should be opting for writing the if else instead. So guys, what will be the output of this one? Tell me. I have a variable called city, and then I'm taking this variable into the switch. I have a case called Bangalore, Kolkata, Agra, Jaipur, and they say all these are in India. Then it breaks. Then I have New York and this, and I'm passing Bangalore. What will be the output? So I pass Bangalore. Case Bangalore get executed. There is no break. It will fall through to Kolkata, no break. Fall through to Agra, no break. Fall through to Jaipur, and then it has all these are in India, then it breaks. As it breaks, it is not going to go to case New York. Is it going to go to case New York? Let's go and check. We are getting all these are in India. So it means this particular case has been satisfied, and we're saying all these are in India. It is not going to go to any other case. It is not going to go to default at all. Correct? This is how we have learned. So this one you can actually use just like an if else within the say switch. Is like you want to execute if certain number of things are matching, certain number of cases are matching, then you want to do something, or else you want to do something else. From that cases, this is one smart way of achieving the similar thing with switch case. Just wanted to tell you that. So that's it for this particular lesson, this particular session. It was a short one. The things that I have not covered here is something called continue, because that will make sense to cover with the loop, because that's when break and continue both I can cover in much greater details. But this is about the control flow. This is about if, else, switch, break, and we have got this. We came to know break about it also. About the continue, we will learn along with the loops. In the next session, we'll get into the looping. And remember, guys, every session that we are progressing, it also uses everything from the previous session. So it means that when we are talking about looping, inside loop, we will be using condition. When you are doing condition, we are using the expression. When you're doing expression, we are creating variables. So all these things are related. This is how step by step we do logic building. So again, if you found it useful, let me know, give a like, post a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. And do me a favor, guys, please share about 40 days of JavaScript in your circle so that people come to know about it. Thank you. Thanks for learning. Keep learning. Be positive. You are going to get it. You are going to get to the deeper of JavaScript very soon, from the beginner till the advanced stage. Thank you. We'll be coming back again very soon.